I'll be right back. I am back. Well, I guess I gotta start a new game on here. Guess I gotta watch through this again.
オカリンおじさんたった一回こうなったらビンタして。オカリンがそれにもう一度未来のことを。だからそのためのシュタインズ気持ちはわかるよ。どっちにしろ。オカリンおじさん、一つだけ忠告しとく。このタイムマシンに残されてる燃料は有限なの。さっきは往復2回分しか残ってないって言ったけど、実はまだそれなりに余裕はある。それでも移動できる時間はおよそ344日分。片道のタイムトラベルだとしても、今から1年と経たないうちに7月28日には届かなくなる。覚えといて。その日になったらさ、私はたとえ一人でも飛ぶよ。
Someone was saying something to me, but I couldn't understand the words. I didn't want to listen to anything. I just wanted to sleep. Just let this all end. Just let me go.
オカリン、オカリン、ねえ、オカリン、もう頑張らなくてもいいからね。泣いてもいいんだよ、オカリン。マユシーはそばにいるからね、オカリン。
I don't know if my words were the reason why, but the tears started to flow. I started to forget about everything. Ever since that day, I stopped going to the Future Gadget Lab. Fictional lab in name only. There's actually a group of students who make strange inventions inventions. Its founder, Rintaro Okabe, described it as a place where he can go to further his ambitions to overthrow the ruling structure of the world. To get there, head down the center street of Akihabara, a station, then when you get to the Susurucho intersection, take a left at Kokumabashi Street. Then head to the alley just in front of the little next light, and you'll find an old multi-purpose building called Ubiya Building. It's on the second floor. I butchered that alone. Absolute zero. UPX, the new symbol of Akihabara, was located right in front of the station. In the hall of the fourth floor, preparation had been going all morning at the ATF Akihabara Techno Forum Convention. Universities and labs from both inside and outside outside the country would work together to put on special seminars and whatever that word is, at irregular intervals. My school, Tokyo Denki University, was participating as a part of its industry collaboration efforts. Students were required to attend these seminars and submit reports to their instructors. First founded as a Denki school in 1907, in 1949 it became a college in Kondo, Tokyo. Denki University trains engineers and scientists to promote the healthy development of scientific technologies. It was founded around the principle of the practical study above all else, and its educational and research motto is technologies people. Because of the school's location, it was deeply involved in the development of Akihabara. Otherwise, they wouldn't get credit for their related classes. In addition, I was supposed to help one of the lecturers, Associate Professor Izaki. I had just gotten a list from the reception desk at the shared lobby. I was waiting to check off the names of the students who were coming to the lecture. There was still some time before the seminar started, so the lobby was mostly empty. None of the students on the list were here yet. I was bored, but I couldn't do anything but wait. The old me could never imagine doing anything like this, but impressing Izaki was part of my new goal in life. Victor Kandri University. Yes, that was my new goal. Izaki did a lot of joint research projects with them and knew a lot of people there. The best first step to getting there, my brain could come up with being the best first step to getting there my brain could come up with was being his assistant. Also, this convention was holding another seminar by Victor Kandria University after the one held this summer. Of course, that interests me too. Summer. Image of her as she was then flashed through my mind. I was trying to get to Victor Kandria so that I could learn about the work that Kursu had been doing. I wanted to try to do it myself. Of course, I wasn't a genius like Kursu. I knew there was no way I'd ever be able to do exactly what she did. But if I could do even 10% of it, honestly, I'm amazed that I recovered so well. I thought that to myself and chuckled, just as a voice called to me from across the lobby. Excuse me? Huh? And here's Maho. I looked up and saw a young girl approaching from the elevator hall. She was short and petite. Everything about her was small. I could kind of make out a few curves that don't appear until after puberty, so at least she wasn't in elementary school, but maybe middle school? For someone with such a cute face, she clearly didn't care about her appearance. Her hair wasn't styled and poured down her back. Even I could tell her clothes weren't very fashionable. Excuse me, where's the staff room? This is the AFT seminar. Apparently not a place where a middle school girl belonged. She'd probably just come to the wrong place. I know that. How many times have I say this? This is the first time you said it to me. And you're the fourth person I said it to since I got here. Irritated, she pulled hard from out her jacket. It was one of the IDs given to invited guests. Her name and the name of her workplace were written on the front.
Huh?
Victor Kanjia University, USA, Brain Science Institute. Victor Kanjia University, Brain Science Institute. The field of study that researches animal brains, also called neuroscience, investigates the brain from a number of perspectives, including biology, genetics, medicine, psychology, and electrical engineering. I looked at the card and then her, and back at the card, then I looked at her again. I finally realized. Oh, so that's it. Where did you find this card? Thanks for bringing it back. Done that 3 times already too. She started and showed me another card. This one was a photo ID from Victor Kanjia University.
Huh?
What? It was the same ID I'd seen Terisu holding before on another world line. The photo on the card, yeah, that was definitely her. Maho Hyajo. That's my name, Maho Hyajo. I'll say it to you now, because nobody's ever been able to read it right. Not in Japanese or English. And you're from Victor Kanjia University Middle School. Stop messing around. Universities don't have middle school. They skipped a bunch of grades. Like in Japan, it wasn't uncommon for Americans to skip grades. Personally, I made it to university at age 17. Still, a girl this young working in the university lab? Can I ask you something?
Oh.
Sure. You're feeling pretty shocked right now, right? Let me guess. A small child like this, I can't believe it, right? Well, she must be amazing to be able to do that at her age types. She got me. Look here, closely. 1989. Oh my god. The girl, Maho Hyajo, pointed to the part of her ID with slender fingers. She was born in 1989, and it was 2010, so you're 21 years old. In other words, I'm an adult woman. I'm not in middle school. And of course, not in elementary school or daycare either. And then she puffed out her chest. There wasn't much to see, but I could imagine her saying, "They look big enough when I'm not wearing clothes." Dang it. Welcome to the first half of Shutainzu Geto. It gets way more depressing afterwards. Oh, why'd I pull the... Wait, I can pull the... What? All favorite settings. Why do I keep pressing that? I keep forgetting R2 and L2 to bring out and put it down. I usually gotta put Mikita Steiner. Put on the vibration. What's that look supposed to be?
No,
sorry. I apologize. I couldn't believe it. She was older than me. If Dario was here, he'd be dancing around screaming legal lolly for the win. Netflix, you expressed excitement about a positive event or experience. Abbreviated FTW, obviously. And legal only refers to a character in anime or manga who appears to be no older than an elementary schooler, but is in fact over the legal age of 20. I get the same thing all around the world, no matter where I go. Yeah, I'm sure. Did you say something? No, I didn't. Still, the Brain Science Institute? That's where Kursu worked. Which means this person might know a lot about Kursu. I held back to impulse to start badgering her with questions. I looked at the pamphlet with the seminar schedules. Victor Conjure's lecture was the last one for the day and was clearly intended to be the biggest. Was this Maho Yajo girl going to give a lecture? Just like Kursu had done at the summer convention. No, wait, that's wrong. That never happened. Kursu Makusa never gave any lectures over the summer. That happened in the Alpha World line. And the World line I happened now before the summer convention she'd already. Are you giving a lecture today? No, I'm here as an assistant. Oh, and translator too. I looked at the pamphlet again and saw that the lecturer was a man named Alexis Leskinen. A professor at Victor Concha University and the chief researcher of the Brain Science Institute. The topic is the artificial intelligence revolution, huh? Yeah, sounds interesting. If you got the time, I'd love for you to come listen. I will. Staff room, right? I led Maho over to the elevator hall and showed her where the staff room was. Thanks. I had no reason to hang around here any further. I said goodbye and was just about to turn around. Just then, the elevator opened. A woman emerged. The instant I saw her face, every hair on my body stood on end. Not gonna spoil anything, but Okabe has a little some PTSD of her. Moeka, you'd know if you played or watched Steins Gate. Moeka, Kiryu! Here's all I could do to keep myself from screaming. Calm down, this is the Bay World line. Mayuri is alive. Moeka's not gonna kill her. Our eyes met. The eyes on the other side of her glasses were as dead as ever, and it was impossible to tell what she was thinking. I frantically averted my gaze before she realized something was wrong. She tilted her head for a second, but quickly lost interest in me and turned toward Maho. You're with the magazine, right? I'm here about that interview. Even in this world line, Moeka still only spoke in faint whispers. Dr. Leskinen isn't here yet. It may be a minute. Okay. If you want, I can go over the system until he gets here. Thank you. The two of them disappeared into the staff room. As I watched him leave, I took a deep breath. I tried to calm down, but it wasn't working. Kiryu Moeka. Kiryu? Is it going to be you again? Oh, this terrible feeling, like a cold finger tracing the world in my heart. That night, when the terrorists shut down all the trains in Akihabara, that awful night when I knew something was going to happen. He's going to do it again. Here? No, don't worry about it, pal. At least I don't think you should worry about it, pal. Anyways, or was I just imagining things? Was she just a magazine reporter now instead of a CERN rounder? An unofficial group that works for CERN. It is, in theory, an independent group that does technology research. Rounders are deployed all over the world, and their exact numbers are unknown. The real objective is to recover the IBM 5100s. It is the only machines capable of hacking CERN's hidden database, as well as crushing and attempts to about the time of gene research around the world and take the scientists back to work for CERN. They are in it. Oh, what the frick? They are, in essence, mercenaries who are capable of using force if necessary. My arm hurts. European Laboratory for Nuclear Research. CERN, however, is not a known acronym for this group. It comes from the French Société Européenne de Recherche. I don't know how to speak French. European Society for Nuclear Research. Its predecessor lab consists of the world's largest particle accelerator, the outskirts of Geneva, Switzerland. It crosses the border between France and Switzerland, and there is a bank library. Can I stop? Can this stop happening? Research teams from all over the world, particularly. Okay. No, even if Mocha was around her, we had nothing to do with CERN anymore. CERN wouldn't be watching us. I took another deep breath, grabbed some of the anxiety meds in my pocket and swallowed them down with mineral water I'd bought ahead of time. It would take 15 minutes for them to kick in. Those 15 minutes were always pretty rough. I laughed at myself a little and sat down on one of the reception desk chairs. The table was filled with leaflets, pamphlets, and other things for the attendees. I just got a rhyme. Did you look getting how are things going with the Mr. Seminar? I'm not sure exactly. You'll be fine, she guarantees it. I'm just having trouble paying attention. Here's the seminar I want to attend, so I'm not going anywhere near with my work. I see, you're nervous, huh? Just so you know that if you work hard, you can go see Mr. Seminar as a reward. And then you'll focus on the work right in front of you. You table. My eyes wandered to one of the pamphlets. Nakabachi theory and genealogy of pseudoscience. This pamphlet is for Professor Izaki's seminar. Nakabachi theory. The paper he'd announced in Russia. That paper held the key for creating a real-time machine. On that day, July 28th, Nakabachi had stolen the paper from Kursu, his own daughter, and left with it. I knew that. Only Nakabachi and I knew that. I flipped through the pamphlet. It was a brief introduction to the men who owns the pseudoscience and fake scientific discoveries that had emerged since the start of the 20th century. On its own, it didn't make for some interesting reading. And at the end of the pamphlet, Nakabachi theory was introduced as nothing more than an entry in that long list of fakes. So Dr. Nakabachi's time machine theory had been completely ignored by the academic world. All the glory, fame, and power he'd wanted so badly that he was willing to get rid of his own daughter, he didn't get any of it. And I'd heard rumors that after announcement he'd been imprisoned in a Russian lab. To make it even funnier, he thought he was getting the VIP treatment. For a short time, there were essays and interviews and bogus academic research. Even there, it was obvious it all gone to his head. The ironic thing was that the Nakabachi theory was completely correct and completely revolutionary. The Russian government was worried about leaking, and the SVR was doing everything it could to keep it under wraps. The Service of the External Reconnaissance of the Russian Federation, aka SVR, Russia's external intelligence agency. Its HQ is in Yasinovo in southern Moscow. After the old Soviet Committee for the State Security (KGB) was disbanded, the new SVR was modeled after the KGB's first directorate. There are other intelligence agencies in Russia as well, such as I have a problem reading, such as the Main Intelligence Directorate (GRU) and the Federal Security Service (FSB). Each of them has their own territory and specialization. On the surface, there was a full-scale information war beginning over the paper. The time traveler from 2036, John Titor, had told me so, which had to be true. In November 2000, a man appeared on an American message board claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2026. This became an internet phenomenon that inspired a storm of questions and debate. The man called himself John Titor and posed partial pictures of the manual for his time machine, as well as an explanation for how it operated. He also made it clear what would happen in the near future, how interfering with timeline worked, the principles behind the multiverse and the parallel worlds, as well as timelines and world lines. And then, 4 months after his appearance, he left a final message saying that he completed his mission and would be returning to his world, and he vanished for good. Well, you know what sucks? You know what's cool and all? It doesn't suck when I say. You know what's cool and all? John Titor was actually an actual thing. I looked it up after watching Steins Gate, and apparently it was an actual thing back in the early 2000s on the message board, where he said he came from, I think it was people are doing this or something, multiple people. They said they came from 2036, stuff like that. You can look up, it's on Wikipedia, so you can look it up. And so is the IB. I love how Steins Gate uses a lot of stuff that's actually in the real world, or stuff that actually happened. And it's pretty cool, because see, the thing is, I always thought most of this stuff was fictional, but God, for all we know, time travel could actually happen, could be real and stuff. We just have yet to discover it. So basically, it's cool. It's pretty cool. Was World War III really going to happen? There was no point in thinking about it. Just a little more before the drugs kicked in. I closed my eyes. Several hours later, the convention was going well. After Professor Izaki's seminar, most of the students from my university went home, but I killed some time and came back. I wanted to hear the Victor Condria lecture. I headed to the hall with plenty of time to spare, saw Mahalyadra come from the staff room. She was with a very tall foreigner. Was that Alexis Leskinen? It didn't seem like an American name, but maybe he was an immigrant like her too, or at least a descendant from one. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the looks on their faces were so serious that I couldn't help but listen. Since they were both speaking in English, I could barely make out any of it, but I could tell from their voices that it was in a pleasant chat. Wait, did I just hear the word Maki say? I hate the fact that I couldn't speak English. If I had known this was going to happen, I would have gone to an English school. The two of them walked into the waiting room for lectures. It was located right next to the DPX theater. I put together the few fragments I was able to understand. If I heard Kurisu's house, Mr. Maki Mrs. Maki says, alright, robbery. The police called off the investigation. Why was the FBI there? It doesn't make sense. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, an American police organization, it is attached to the Department of Justice and handles all crimes that occur on American soil. There are approximately 30,000 people who work for the FBI. When crimes take place involving a wide area in multiple states, the FBI investigates under federal law. I think that's what they were saying. Kirsty's house. Do you mean where she lived in America? Her mother should still live in America. Is that where the fire was? And then words like robbery and the investigation was called off. I really want to know more. I sit there worried until it was time for the lecture to begin. With nothing else to do, I went inside the theater. I could tell earlier by looking at the size of the crowds going inside, but it was a very high energy crowd. The answer was clearly different than Inzaki seminar, which was just mostly students there for credit. The place was nearly full of crowd of scientists and the people who learn about cutting-edge technology. Victor Contria's researchers had published a slew of papers in science recently. It had gotten a lot of media attention. Maybe that was why. Were there any open seats? I found a single open seat at the edge. When I looked at who was sitting next to it, I moaned. You again? Mako Kiryu was there. She was speaking to no one, just typing endlessly into her phone. I'd once named her Shining Finger because of her incredible typing speed, and she was fast as ever. Who was she talking to? Anyways, I didn't even want to imagine. I quickly turned away and looked for another seat. Dr. Luskin reached the podium almost at the exact instant I sat down. There was a huge wave of applause, but when they saw the tiny little girl come up next to him, the applause faded into confused murmurs. Maho must have expected this. Her expression didn't change in the slightest as she stood next to the professor. In fact, when she took the microphone from the professor and looked around the theater, she looked like she belonged there.
Ladies and gentlemen.
First, Dr. Luskin began to speak in English. When he made eye contact with Maho, she began to interpret.
Thank you for attending
this seminar.
Thank you for coming to my seminar.
I am Alexis Leskinen
ビクトル・コンドリア大学脳科学研究所のアレクシス・レスキネンです。専門は脳信号処理システムおよび人工知能理論になります。
I'm going to have to read this because I cannot hear. Since she's speaking over him, I could not hear him whatsoever. My name is Alexis Luskin, and I'm with Victor Condry of the University's Brain Science Institute. My specialty is brain signal processing systems and artificial intelligence theory.
そして私は助手のヒヤジョウマホです。
Maho Yajo.
同じく
I'm
脳
also
科
a
学研
researcher
究
at
所
the
で
Institute working
教
on
授
the
の指
professor.
導に沿って
I'm
研
glad to
究を
meet
し
you
ています。
all.
よろしく。
The audience started murmuring again. That was the same way I responded when I met her. Well, that'll happen, yeah.
Now, without further ado,
では早速ですが、
I'd like to
私
get
た
right
ちの
into it by
最先端
introducing
研究
some
の
of
一
the
端をご紹
cutting
介
edge
します。
research we're doing.
I know today's theme is
テーマは人工
The
知能
topic
革
we're
命と
discussing
しま
today
し
is
たが、
artificial
これから
intelligence
デモンスト
evolution,
レー
but
シ
I
ョン
think
す
that
る
the
システ
system
ム
we're
は
going to
お
demonstrate
そらく
today goes
皆さん
beyond
の想
anything
像を
you've
超
ever
えたものでは
imagined.
ないかと思っています。
Dr. Luskin stood down in front of the laptop that had been placed on the podium and started to type. Anyways, often shortened to AI, there have been many different definitions for this word since its creation. For example, some use it to refer to the control systems with self-directed learning capabilities, while others use it to refer to programs who thought routine mirror humans.
This terminal here is connected to
このパソコンですが、
This computer is linked to one of the supercomputers in our labs.
まだプロジェクターに
Don't
は
turn on
映さ
the
ない。
projector just yet. One of the staffers was about to display this laptop screen on the front projector. Some kind of important program must have been booting because Mahayaja stopped them.
Sorry, this is all
すみません。
improvement.
まだ開発途
This
中な
stuff
んで
isn't
す。
complete yet.
非
And
常
the
に
screen's
履歴セン
filled
ス
with
のないプ
programs
ログ
that
ラ
aren't
ム
very
が
pretty to look
画面
at.
いっぱいに溢れ返っています。
Honestly, I'm a
こんな
little
チープな
embarrassed
プログ
by
ラムを
But
見
I'll
ら
let
れ
you
る
see
の
me
が恥ずかしい。
Again, let you see these
裸を
lousy
見られるようにね。
programs.
any engineers out there.
この中にエンジニアの方がいるなら
If there are any
理解して
engineers
い
in
た
the
だけま
audience
すよ
today, you
ね。
know what I'm talking about, right? Some of the audience got the professor's joke and
Anyway,
laughed.
while this finishes
起
splitting
動するまでの間、
While it's
こ
booting
の
up,
シス
I'll
テ
go
ム
over
全体の
the
概
basic
略を
idea
説
of
明
the
しましょ
system.
う。
There was another projector in the field of science. A diagram appeared on the screen. At the top of the diagram was a Japanese translation for the general audience. Temporal context. Nerve pulse. Nerve pulse. An electrical signal that travels through human nerve cells. It's used to quickly spread information between cells. As part of the cerebrum located at the side of the brain, it controls memory, judgment, emotional restraint, hearing, and more. It's also used for accessing the hippocampus, which is on the edge of the cerebrum. An analysis of neural pulse signals relating to memories stored in the temporal lobe. I knew that title well. In fact, I was sure I could never forget 17-year-old genius and published in Science. She had completely analyzed the nerve impulse patterns that govern human memory and used that to digitize the memories themselves into data. She had used that to invent the time loop machine right in front of my eyes. Though none of that actually happened
We've
anymore.
actually been featured in a few
サイエン
journals
ス誌に
recently.
掲載さ
The
れたの
paper
で、
appeared in
ご
Science,
存知の
so
方も
I'm
いる
sure
でしょ
some
う。
of you have seen it before.
It was proposed by a very talented
これ
Japanese
は
member of our team.
私たちのチームにいた
This
天
theory
才
was
的な日
proposed
本人
if
研
I'm like
究
a
者によ
brilliant
って提
Japanese
唱さ
member of our
れ
team.
完成されたものです。
Human memories are stored in
人間の記憶は
particularly
大脳
in
皮
the
質、
temporal lobe.
Human
と
memories
り
are
わけ
stored in the
側頭葉に
cerebral
記録されま
cortex,
す。
particularly the
いわゆ
temporal
る
lobe.
フラッ
They're
シュ
a
メモ
lot
リ
like
みたい
flash
なもの。
memory. The gray-colored external layer of the human brain is only a few millimeters thick, but consists of over 10 billion neurons and countless layers. The central core, governing sensation, movement, and mental activity. Different parts handle different functions.
The part of the temporal lobe
そのメモリに記憶を書
The
き
part
込
of
んだ
the
り
brain
読
that
み出したり
reads
するの
and
が
writes those flash
側頭
memories
葉に
called
あ
the
る海馬傍回と
hippocampal
いう部位。
gyrus. The hippocampal gyrus is found on the outside edge of the hippocampus. It is the part of the brain that controls memories and spatial recognition. It is responsible for spatial processing as well as the sensation of being familiar with a situation or a place. It plays an important role in memory encoding and retrieval.
になります。
Dr. Leskinen pointed to the diagrams of the brain and hippocampus on the
The brain
screen.
works by transmitting
脳は
electrical signals between
ニューロン
cells
と呼ば
or
れる
neurons.
細胞の間を
The brain
電
functions by
気
sending
信号が
electrical
伝わって
signals
いくこ
between
とで
in
働いていま
cells
す。
called neurons, also referred to as nerve cells. Cells specialize for information processing. Electrical pulses flow through these cells to share various types of information, making them a form of transmission mechanism. 1 second. Whoops.
What we call memories are
記憶というのも実はこういった電気信号の伝わりの一つなのです。その働き
In other words,
つまり電気信号が会話妨害を出入りすることで記憶は作られていくんですね。
that was a foundation for
そこでマキセ・クリスはこの論文を書いた日本人研究者です。
and excuse me, I mean, Ms. Makise,
マキセ研究員は考えました。
you see here, electrical signal patterns
会話妨害を通る電気信号が電気信号のパターンと大脳皮質の
Mahal started to have trouble with her interpreting. She was getting confused. No matter how good you were with languages, interpreting for a long period of time had to be difficult. I'd once read an article on the internet that said even a professional can't do it for more than 20 minutes. International conferences and live broadcasts from overseas were actually handled by a team of people switching off. Or maybe...
"すみません。
Ms. Makise, focus on the patterns
マキセ
entering
研
and
究員
exiting
は
the parahippocampal channels.
会話妨害を出入りする電気信号のパターンに着目しました。
By analyzing those patterns,
そのパ
she
タ
was
ーン
able
が
to gather data on which
大脳
neurons
皮
in the
質
cerebral
の
cortex
どの記憶と対応しているのか解析を行って完全なデータを得たのです。
This data allows her to take
これによって
the memory signal
記憶という曖昧でアナログなものを電気信号のパターンの組み合わせというデジタルなものに変換する基礎理論が確立されたのです。
Ms. Makise published her research
これが
in several journals.
サイエンス誌に掲載された彼女の論文です。
And now, based on her theory,
そして
our
現在
team has developed a system
私
for
たちの
storing
チー
human
ムは
memories as digital
そ
data.
の理論をもとに人間の記憶をデジタルデータとして取得するシステムを開発しています。
Whispers swept across the theater.
In other words,
それはすなわち
Which means 人
this system allows human memories
間
to be
の記
stored
憶を
and
コンピューター
store
に保存し
and access the human's memories
そ
on
れ
a
を活
computer.
用するシステムということになります。
The whispers turned into a low roar. Bro, just have them write down what they remember, and boom, easy. So even after her death, Kursu's research was being carried on. Of course, maybe it was natural that it would be. That was a basic theory for time leaping, which I had proved myself, even if I could never prove it to anyone else in the Alpha World line. My memories had been turned into data, stored on computer. There was no doubt about that. And what Dr. Leskinen was talking about right now was the basic technology for that process.
At present, we are
現在、私たちが行っているプロジェクトは主に2つです。1つは医療分野への応用です。
The slide on the projector changed.
こちらは精神生理学研究所と共同で行っているプロジェクトです。
Whatever that word is, lab.
コンピューターに保存した記憶データを
The idea is to use the hippocampal gyrus to put the memories stored on the computer back into the brain.
Incredible!
Someone who looked like a grad student in the front row shouted. Dr. Leskinen didn't seem particularly put off by this interruption. Maho continued her interpretation.
You don't believe it? I know how you feel.
信じがたいですか。
Incredible, huh? I can
その気
understand how
持
you
ちは
feel.
理解
I
で
would
き
feel
ま
in
す。
the same way in your
私も
position.
But let me just ask you.
しかし、
Can you imagine
この研究に私たちは手応えを感じています。
Oh, Chris, how wonderful would it be
こ
if
れが実用
we
化
would
でき
make
れば
this work?
どんなに素晴らしいことでしょう。
We could treat memory loss in
例えば
memory or
老化
One
による
example
記
would
憶
be
障
memory
害
problems caused by
あ
aging
と
or
は
Alzheimer's.
アルツ
The
ハイマーな
form
ど
was
そうしたものへの対処療法が期待できます。
the treatment intended not cure but cause not intended to cure the cause of disease, but to alleviate symptoms and relieve pain. Painkillers and reducers are examples of symptomatic therapy. Yeah, sounds about right.
anyone's memories could be
患者の記憶をデー
Could
タとして自
automatically
動
back
的
up the
にバッ
patient's
クアップ
memories
し
as
ていくので
data.
す。
even if a memory is lost.
記憶が失われたと
Even
し
if
て
the
も
patient loses their memories, they can just go to their PC and reinstall them.
脳内にデータを再インストールするこ
Can
と
you
が可能で
reinstall
す。
life? That's the real question.
We could halt the progress of senility
それによっ
and
て
dementia.
We think
忘
this
却
will
の
be a way to
進行を
stop
食い
memory
止められるの
loss.
ではないか。私たちはそう考えています。
Eventually, it would be
最終的には
In the end, we
会話
hope
傍
to
可した
make
ら
this to make
PC 内
memory
の
data
記憶
stored
デ
on
ータ
your
に常
PC
時アクセ
constantly
スでき
accessible
るよう
be
になる
the
でしょう。
hippocampal gyrus.
So if the blame were to loss
そうすれ
significant
ば
functionality,
脳
This
機
would
能
mean
が
that if the
失わ
brain
れた状態、
functionality was lost, for example,
例えば
if the brain was badly
脳が
damaged or
激しく損傷
atrophied,
したり萎縮してしまった場合などですが、
I mean,
the system of essentially
そのような状態
brain
でも
functionality was
変わら
still
ず
be
脳機能を
managed,
維持できます。
maintained.
think of it like an
あた
external
か
hard
も
drive.
外部
It
スト
would
レ
be
ー
like
ジと
a
同じよう
form
に
of external storage, a data storage that can be dispatched from a computer or cell phone or other electronic devices. Some examples include hard drives or flash memory. A strange feeling gripped the hall. Part of it was shock and the feeling that they were witnessing an announcement of incredible technology. Part of it was skepticism and a system like this could ever actually work. Part of it was revulsion at the idea of playing around with a human brain like that. Excitement born of all these things passed from one member of the crowd to another. Dr. Leskinen raised his hand to encourage
I'm
questions.
seeing some of you have questions.
どうやら
It
2
looks
つ目
like I
の
need
プロ
to
ジェク
make
トをお
questions
話し
before
す
we
る
move
前に
on to the next
質問を受け
project.
付けないといけないようですね。
I'll answer as many as I can. Go ahead.
できる範囲でお
I'll
答え
answer
しま
as
す。
many as I can.
Dozo.
Go ahead. Many hands were raised. I could tell that there was a wide age range of people interested, but young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Leskinen pointed to a questioner. This was the first question. Sampling would be required when digitizing analog memories. Does that mean any information will be lost? The act of taking data at regular intervals. The professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese and began to respond in English when the speaker finished. Maybe he was able to understand Japanese, if not speak it.
Let me reflect
そ
that.
の質問
To
を
put
言い
your
換え
question
る
another
と、
way,
You're talking about attempting to
オーケストラの
you're
生演奏
saving,
を
you're saying
ラ
that
グ
when
の
you're
データに
saving
保
a
存
live
する際、
recorder, live recorders
生
and
演奏の
orchestra
す
as
べ
the
てを
way
完璧に記録
WAV
するこ
files
とは
is
でき
possible
ない
to
と。
record everything.
That's certainly a concern.
確かに
That's
そ
a
の
good
懸念
question.
はあ
It's
り
one
ま
of
す。
the biggest problems facing our
現在
research.
の研究で
Right now.
最も困難な問題の一つです。
Now,
脳内のネットワークが
If the network within the
神
brain
経伝
consists
達物質
simply
のオンオフだけで
consists simply of neurotransmitters turning on and off,
二
that
進
is,
数的に
exchanging
データの
binary
やり
data,
取り
the
をして
problem
いる
would
の
be
であれ
simple.
ば簡単な問題でした。
After all, that's
そ
how
れ
our
は
computer deals.
デジ
That
タ
would be
ルデ
the
ータと
exact
同じ
same
こと
thing
だ
as
か
the
らです。
computer's digital data.
Unfortunately, intercerebral
しかし
transmission
実
substance
際に
can
は
We know that
伝達物質や電気
neurotransmitters
信号は
and
脳
electrical
内でアナログ
signals
的
form
に変
an
化するこ
analog
とが分か
network
っています。
within the brain.
So at present, the best
この
solution
問題
is
に関しては
The only way
今のとこ
we
ろ
have to deal
よ
with
り
this problem
高い
right
サ
now
ンプリング
is
レートで
sample
デー
at a
タをサ
higher
ンプルす
rate.
る方法しか手段を持っていません。
in musical teams you could
音
say
楽の話で言えば
something at 48
44.1kHz よりも
Instead of sampling at
48kHz
4.1 kHz,
48kHz よりも
we'd sample at
96kHz でサンプリングす
48
る
kHz
といった具合です。
and instead of 48 kHz, we'd use 96 kHz.
It's still digital data, of course,
それによっ
but
て
the information we
デジタルで
This
あり
allows
な
us
が
to
ら
recreate
ア
something
ナロ
very
グデ
close
ー
to
タ
the
に近
original
い情
analog
報を得よ
data
うとしていま
digitally.
す。
Little by little, the mood in the room was turning into disappointment. The people were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. More questions came. All the questioners were skeptical of the professor's theory, and many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. This was Dr. Weskin's research, but it was also Kursu's. I knew better than anyone at it worked, and the sight of so many people refusing to give it a chance infuriated me. Were these people really scientists? I tried to keep myself under control and looked back towards the podium. Was she mad? She certainly looked disappointed. Dr. Weskin was very polite with the rude questioners, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was very different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpreting too. I felt a kind of kinship with her. The question and answer session continued. From a medical standpoint, this is just reckless. It's absolutely impossible to rewrite digital data back into the brain. It's insane. I read the essay in Science and I have to say, I don't believe. Especially since the lead author was a 17-year-old girl. That was the one thing I couldn't ignore.
あなたね。
Listen. Objection!
あ
Why does she look like that? the one thing that the Shutainzu Geto has with the visual novel is that they make this to make Maho have the funniest faces. I swear. The two people on the stage and the entire audience all turned toward me at once. How do you know it won't work when you haven't even tried?
やってみもしないで何がわかるって言うんだ最初は無理だと思われて
The
た技
world's
術
full
なん
of
て
technologies that people never
この世
thought
にい
would
くらでもあ
work.
るじゃないかでも
But they exist now
それを
because
克
people
服した研
overcame
究
those
者がいたからこ
problems.
そ今ただ批判するだけじゃ
Criticism alone doesn't
何
help
も生まれ
anything.
ない
The whole theater went silent, but I didn't regret standing up.
あなた
On the stage, Mahayaja was staring at me in shock. And as for Dr. Leskinen, I saw a flash of white teeth as our eyes met.
Awesome. He's wearing something.
Oh, never mind. He's speaking in English. He started to applaud. Why was he applauding? That just makes things embarrassing.
素晴らしい。彼はなかなか
Really
大したや
something,
つ
the
だ。
professor says.
ですって。
Maho translated the professor's words for me to hear.
Nonetheless, a scientist must
ただ
always
し
remain composed.
But a
科
scientist
学
must
者
remain
たるも
calm
の
at
常
all
に冷静
times.
でなければいけない。
The only time when it is
大
possible
声で
to
怒鳴っ
shout.
て
The
い
only
い
time
の
when
は
you're allowed to
実
yell
験が
is when
成
your
功した
experiment
時
succeeds
の
and you say,
We did it,
We did it.
there
and
you
that
go.
should be enough.
それだけで十
That's all
分。
you need, he says.
すみません
I lowered my head and sat down. I thought I was calm, but I guess I let my emotions get away from me. I hadn't grown up at all in the past 6 months. If Kurosa was here, she'd make fun of me again. I could feel the rest of the audience staring at me coldly. It hurt. If I could have left, I would have wanted to, but I was so interested in hearing what the rest of Dr. Leskin's thoughts move.
And anyway, moving on.
Alright,
それでは
everyone,
皆さ
moving
ん、
on.
そろそろ次に。
Oh, first, a round of applause,
でも
please. For
But
our
first,
その前
best
に
how
friend.
about a round
勇
of
敢な
applause for
彼
a
に
brave
拍手
audience
をお願い
member?
します。
Oh no, No.
Men like him are what
彼のような挑戦者こ
Challenges
そ
like
が
him are the ones who
科学
advance
を
science
進
and
歩さ
come
せ
up
あ
with
っ
the
と
really
驚くよう
amazing
な理論を
theories.
作り上げるのです。
He may even become the third
彼なら
Einstein.
きっと
He may even
第
become
3
capable
の
of
アインシ
becoming
ュ
the
タイン
third
になれるか
Einstein.
もしれませんね。
Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955. He lived that long. I didn't know. The father, her German Jew, known as the father of modern physics, he developed many important theories, including the theory of general relativity and theory of special relativity. Winner of the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics.
The second Einstein, of course,
ち
would
な
be
み
my
に
slightly
第
第
way,
2
the
の
second
アイン
Einstein
シュ
is
タ
my
イン
little
は
assistant here.
ここにいるちょっと小うるさい変なこと言うのはやめてください、教授。
The audience chuckled.
さ
Sheesh.
て、ここで私はしばらく通訳をお休みさせていただきます。これから私よりも優秀な通訳が登場します。これが私たちのチームが今最も力を入れている2つ目のプロジェクト、アマデウスシステムです。
The Amadeus system. When she finished speaking, Maho walked to the back of the stage. At Dr. Weskin's signal, the PC screen was displayed on the projector, and then I heard a
皆
voice.
さん、初めてお目にかかりま
Nice
す。
to meet you, everyone. Maho? A murmuring got louder than before, but it felt more uncertain than surprise. On the screen, I could see a detailed 3D model of Maho, the girl who just... Whoops.
ちなみにこれは
By the way,
映画などで
this
有名
mode
な
was made by the
ドリンク
famous
ワークススタジオに撮
Ingward
影してもらっ
Studio.
た
You've
モデル
probably
で
seen
す。
their movies. Fictional, an American CG movie production company. Ah, okay. Maho Hyajo chimed in from the back of the stage.
声については
The voice
私の
was
ボイ
done
ス
by
サンプルを
Japanese
データベー
company
スにして
Yamana using my
日
voice
本の
samples.
山名が作ってくれました。
Fictional instrument maker that was founded in the 19th century. In the 2000s, they began to develop and sell artificial voice software and DTM for software for PC. Basically Vocaloid. This was CG. You sure it looked real to me. The professor said something into the laptop's microphone, and then the remodeled Maho Hyajo on the screen opened his mouth.
私はヒヤジョマホです。
I'm Maho Hyajo. Besides, I'm being the face of Maho Hyajo, who existed 78 hours and 22 minutes ago. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear something slightly off, but it sounded far more human than any artificial voice I'd ever heard.
先ほどから皆さんの質問を聞かせていただいています。教授はどうして私
And I
を
was
早
wondering
く
why the
紹介
professor
しな
didn't
いのか
introduce me earlier.
とてももどかしく思っていましたよ。以前から感じていました
I've
が
thought for a while that the
どうも
professor has
教
a
授
bit
は
of
人が
a
悪
mean
いようで
streak
す
to
ね。
in him.
まったくだわ。
You got that right. The Maho Hyajo on the screen spoke with a slightly irritated expression. The Maho Hyajo on the wall nodded in agreement. Dr. Luskin simply smiled. What was going on here? A part of this was their biggest project. The rest of the audience didn't seem to have any more of a clue
皆
than
さ
I
んの
did.
多くは日
Many
本
of
に
you
持っ
are
ています
wondering
人間の記憶を
whether
デ
it's
ータとして
possible
繰
to
り出
extract
したり
humans' memories as
そ
data,
れを保
save
存
them
した
and
り
use them.
そんなことが本
You're
当
wondering
に
if
可能なのか
that's really something we can do.
それでは
So I'll put this
私は一
question
体何で
to
しょうか
you. If not, what am I?
私は
I am based
78
off
時
the data
間
that was extracted
23
from
分
Maho
前のヒヤ
Hyajo's
ジョ
brain
マホの脳
78
内
hours
から
and
取り出
23
された
minutes
記憶
ago.
を持ちそのデータをベースにして動いているのです。
What did she just say? The professor said something else in rapid English and asked the Maho on the screen to translate it. But she, if she was the right word, hesitated and went silent. I looked at the real Maho and she responded exactly the same
教
way.
授、今のは
Professor, is it alright if...
教授
Professor,
今の発
is it
言
alright
は
if I report that?
セクシャルハラスメントとして大学に訴えてもいいでしょうか。
Dr. Luskin laughed cheerfully and responded to her. The conversation was in quick English, and over half the audience couldn't understand it. The real Maho sighed and took back the microphone.
教授はですね、
Well, Professor,
私に対して
he told all this Amadeus
私
was
の
based
記
off
憶で
my
動
memories
作して
to
いる
answer a
こ
question.
のアマデウスに対して質問に答えてごらんと言いました。
It was, still
いつ頃までパパとお風呂に入っていたかとか、初恋はいつだったかとか、何でも答えられるだろうと。ああ、もうそれ以上通訳しなくていいわ。恥ずかしいからやめてくれないかしら。私はそういう質問には一切答えないわよ。クレジットカードの番号なんてもっと言えません。あと1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色なんて覚えてるわけないです。
What was this? It was so natural I couldn't tell at first, but this was something unbelievable, wasn't it? It felt very different than the typical AI, I could tell that much. It wasn't answering the questions it was given, and because they were embarrassing, was it programmed to respond like that to certain questions? For the purposes of this demonstration, it was possible that that's all it was, but if the conversation wasn't programmed in advance, the rest of the crowd seemed to reach the same conclusion I did, and the whisper started to turn into surprise.
ちょっといい加減このいたずらな子供を何とかしてくれないかしら。何をしたいのか理解はできるけど、とにかく恥ずかしいわ。
The copy of Maho was complaining to the original. It felt like I was watching the pair of twin sisters talking.
いたずらな子供ではなく、レスキネン教授が面白がってなかなか説明してくれないので、代わりに私がお話しします。皆さん、もうお分かりかと思いますが、アマデウスは自分が話していいこととそうでないこと、あるいは話したいことと話したくないことを自ら判断して喋っています。私たちはアマデウスにそういったプログラムを一切施していません。彼女は与えられた私の記憶からそれを独自に判断し、自律的にそういう行動をとっているのです。そしてこれは先ほどの医療分野への応用とは方向性が真逆になってしまい、研究所内でもずっと議論が交わされていることですが、私は不必要な情報をいつの間にか忘れてしまうというか、記憶の引き出しから出してこられなくなるのです。例えば1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色、確かにそれを知っていたはずなのに今は思い出せません。そのような情報は生存していく上で必要がないからです。これも皆さんと同じです。このようにアマデウスは記憶のインプットやアウトプットが人間のそれと非常に近いのです。これは私たちも驚くべき結果として研究を重ねている最中で、まだ詳しくは解明されていません。さらに私たちを驚かせたのは、アマデウスが意図して嘘をつくということ。何らかのトラブルやミスではなく、わざとそうするのです。嘘は人間が他人とコミュニケーションを取る上での一つの手法です。アマデウスもインプットされた記憶を自律的に検討し、必要であれば自分や他人のために平気で嘘をつきます。教授、誤解を招くような言い方はやめてください。嘘をつくのに平気なことなんてありません。 私だって両親が咎めます。
I'm so sorry, Anne. This has led us to so many
このような検証を続けていくことで、最終的に私たちは
For one, we believe it's possible
アマデウスに
eventually
人間と同様の魂を宿すことができるのではないかと考えています。
In other words, through
これこそ
artificial intelligence.
本当の意味での人工知能ということになります。